Welcome to today's news discussion. We'll be covering several major stories that have unfolded recently. Let's start with the latest developments in the Middle East. A drone strike recently targeted the United Arab Emirates' Seoul nuclear power plant, sparking a fire on its perimeter. Fortunately, there were no reports of injuries or radiological release. The incident has raised concerns about the risk of renewed war as the Iran ceasefire remains tenuous.
That's a very serious incident. Do we know who was behind the drone strike, or is that still unclear?
No one has immediately claimed responsibility, and the UAE has not directly blamed anyone. However, the UAE has recently accused Iran of launching drone and missile attacks as tensions rise over the Strait of Hormuz, a vital shipping route.
So the incident at the nuclear power plant is part of a larger context of escalating tensions between the UAE and Iran. How does this affect the broader region?
The strike highlights the vulnerability of critical infrastructure in the region. It also underscores the fragile state of the ceasefire between Iran and its adversaries. Any escalation could have significant implications for global oil supplies and regional stability.
That's a good point about the global implications. Let's move on to another story.
In U.S. political news, Sen. Bill Cassidy was decisively defeated in the Louisiana Republican primary. He faced challenges backed by former President Donald Trump, and his loss is seen as a significant political development.
Cassidy's defeat is interesting given his history. He voted to convict Trump during an impeachment trial over the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Do we know how that vote affected his campaign?
Apparently, it was a significant factor. Trump's backing of his opponents seemed to sway voters. The primary results show that Trump's influence remains strong within the Republican Party.
The fact that Trump-backed candidates advanced to the runoff suggests that Trump's endorsement still carries weight. What are the implications for Cassidy's political future?
His loss likely marks the end of his Senate career. The next steps will depend on the runoff election between the Trump-backed candidates. This could further shape the Republican Party's direction in Louisiana.
Let's discuss another story.
Venezuela's government recently deported Alex Saab, a close ally of Nicolás Maduro, to face criminal proceedings in the U.S. This move is surprising, given that Saab was pardoned by President Joe Biden as part of a prisoner swap just a few years ago.
That's a dramatic turn of events. What were the circumstances surrounding Saab's deportation?
The Venezuelan government did not provide detailed reasons, but it marks a significant reversal. Saab was facing several criminal investigations in the U.S., and his deportation suggests a complex diplomatic maneuver.
The pardon by Biden was part of a larger prisoner exchange. It seems Venezuela has now taken a different stance regarding Saab. What does this say about the current state of U.S.-Venezuela relations?
The move indicates a potential shift, or at least a willingness by Venezuela to cooperate with U.S. legal proceedings in certain cases. It could reflect broader diplomatic efforts or changes in Venezuela's internal politics.
Let's examine another story.
A recent Senate ruling has put federal funding for Trump's planned White House ballroom in jeopardy. The Senate's parliamentarian removed security funding that could have been used for the project from a massive spending package.
The Trump administration had sought taxpayer money for security upgrades related to the ballroom. How significant is this setback for the project?
It's a major blow. Trump had stated that private donors would fund the construction, but Republicans sought public funds for security purposes. The Senate's decision imperils those efforts.
This development raises questions about the project's viability moving forward. What are the potential implications for Trump's post-presidency plans?
The funding issue is just one aspect. The controversy surrounding the project could also impact Trump's political capital and influence within the Republican Party.
Let's move to our final story.
An Indian worker was killed and 3 others were injured in a drone attack in the Moscow region. The Indian embassy confirmed the incident, which occurred amid escalating hostilities between Russia and Ukraine.
The attack highlights the risks faced by foreign workers in conflict zones. What is known about the circumstances of the attack?
The drone attack was part of a larger Ukrainian drone raid on Moscow and the surrounding region. The Indian embassy is working with local authorities to assist the victims.
This incident underscores the broader humanitarian concerns in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. How are countries like India responding to the safety of their citizens abroad?
India is working closely with Russian authorities to provide assistance. This includes diplomatic efforts to ensure the safety and well-being of Indian nationals in the region.
As we wrap up today's discussion, it's clear that these stories are interconnected by themes of conflict, political upheaval, and diplomatic maneuvering.
That's a great point. The incidents in the UAE, the political shifts in the US, the deportation from Venezuela, the funding issues for Trump's project, and the attack on Indian workers in Russia all reflect broader global tensions and challenges.
Well, that's all for today's episode. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for listening. We'll be back with more news analysis soon. Until next time, stay informed.